buy those at Michael's. They just have like featherweight on them. Those things are so hard to clean up. I don't care how hard you try. You can never get every little piece of bacteria out of all the little fibers in that bag. So this is not only safer and sanitary, it's a heck of a lot easier to clean up. I can just cut my tip out of the bag and make sure you cut your tip out of the bag. Do not toss your tips in the garbage. And then I can just toss it. Okay. Now roll this over and then open up the inside so I can get into there really easily. I'm going to drop my tip in. Then backing up away from your table, snip this tip. I don't care if they fall on the floor. I'd rather have them on the floor than stuck in your cake. I've seen it. It's gross. Do not let that little plastic tip touch your cake. So you're going to cut it just so that your tip has some room to peek out the side. Don't cut too much because when you start applying pressure, I know you guys have a lot of muscles, I can tell already. If you squirt that too hard, the whole thing's going to fly out onto your cake. I've seen that too, and that's very sad. Okay, so I've got this rolled over. I'm going to slide my hand up in here and create this little cup for me to start scooping all my icing into. So I'm going to use my left hand here to pinch off the bag and fill it up with my chocolate icing. Don't want to overfill your bag. Don't fill it up over the level of this, or else you're going to have a big mess to deal with. A few scoops and you'll be good to go. Roll it up. Then gather the bag where the icing stops up at the top. Twist it. This is going to help prevent it from leaking out the back on you. And then squirt it down so that it reaches the tip. And then you'll start to see it. The more you squeeze, see it coming out? So the pressure's coming from your whole hand, okay? Make an L, put the bag in the L of your hand and twist it, okay? This is how you should properly be holding a pastry bag. So I'm gonna pipe a shell border on this. Make sure you guys are using the 822 tip. I changed it from the 823. Use the 822, it's a little smaller, so we're not gonna waste as much icing going around. I think we're running a little short on icing today. So practice a little bit on your nice, fresh, clean sheet of parchment. It's all about applying pressure and knowing when to release pressure. That's what piping is about. So we want this beautiful little shell border that's going to look something like this. To get this, I'm applying a lot of pressure toward the big rounded part of the shell, and I'm releasing the pressure toward the skinny part. So I'm releasing pressure as I'm moving, okay? I'm moving from left to right. So squeeze, 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 release. Squeeze, 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 release. Squeeze, 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 release. It might look like I'm going back and forth, but I'm not physically moving my wrist back and forth. If I was zigzagging it, it would look like that, and that's not what I really want. I want this nice, clean, fluid motion, okay? The only reason it looks like I'm going left to right is because my tip, when I'm applying pressure, the tip is moving because I'm squeezing so hard. So I'm not physically moving, okay? I don't want to see any zigzag borders today. So we're only putting the border on the top edge. So I'm going to start, pipe a few. Then instead of trying to work all the way around like this, which is ridiculous, I'm going to stop, rotate. Do as many as I feel comfortable with. Rotate it again. Probably get about 4 or 5 in before I have to rotate the cake around. When you get really good and really professional, you can turn and just pipe with one hand at the same time. I don't want to see anyone doing that today. Nobody has to be a speed racer today, but you should be using your left hand today to guide your bag. It just helps you support it. Make sure you take a minute to practice first. We've got almost a whole hour before we have to go up to lunch. So I'm going to get to the end here, and it always looks kind of awkward when I get to the last few shells. Try to just make it look a little neat. When I brought this around, it's almost like making a rosette. I release the pressure, and I know that I'm going to put nuts around there anyway, so I'm not too concerned about the tail end today, but Just keep that in mind. You don't want that looking really messy. You shouldn't be able to tell where the began and stopped. Okay? So now I've got my border on. Got my very nice, clean 10-inch board. I'm going to start a little cup here for myself. And you guys can start one for your group too. This is going to be a little corn syrup. We're just going to do a little dab for glue. Just about that much. We don't want it to slip and slide all over the place. This is just to adhere it for a little bit. Okay, so before I put it onto here, I need to go through this whole process of moving the cake and putting it on here, masking it with the nuts. So I'm going to pick it up, mask it, and then put it down on my nice clean meat board. Okay, so I tell you to rinse off your spatula again. Slide this underneath the cardboard. Pick up your cake. Then you're gonna, there's 3 pans of nuts there, and you're welcome to use mine too. Then you're just gonna take the nuts and cake them up on the sides. I would bring them up just so they're right around the border. Again, these are walnuts, and you'd probably want to use pecans, but since we're not really serving these to anybody, we've got thousands of pounds of walnuts. That's why we're using walnuts today. So this is called masking. I'm letting them all fall back into the tray here. I think we'll be masking a cake with almonds later on in the week. Basically, you want to cover up any ugly spots. Some of us have some ugly spots. It's okay to admit it. Then if you want to go back around to get any empty looking naked spots, you can do that too. I think I had some back here. Okay, and normally I wouldn't be too worried if you saw the cardboard because we would put a bottom border, but since this cake is not getting a bottom border piped on it, I want to see that cardboard covered. You shouldn't really be able to see it at all. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I'm going to set this onto my beautiful cake board. Put it down. And then if I did need to adjust it at all, I could take this spatula and just sort of slide it so that it's nice and perfectly in the center. That looks pretty good. Wipe off your pedestal. Okay, bring your cake up. And then you can fill it with your yummy gooey stuff. Okay. Again, this is pretty hard, so if you want to beat this up a little bit, not in a mixer, but in a bowl, you could do that. Oh, this looks so delicious. Oh, I have a soft spot for this gooey coconut icing. I'm going to take my little spatula because I don't want to hit any of my edges with this. Fill in all these little gaps here. Fill in all the little... Bring everything around. And that's what I would call a German chocolate cake. Feel free to clap if you want. So, now I'm done with my cake. I'm going to note the time. It's 10:25 right now. So I'm going to come up here. I'm always going to have these up here on my table. I'm going to grab